All right, give me a moment. I'm about a minute behind because I was trying to get things set up. I am streaming from my own personal computer today. Even though I have models that I want to paint and showcase, I am not in a really good headspace. I haven't been for the last few days, honestly, all winter, but it's only consecutively gotten worse. This is not here for me to complain, though, or dump on you what seasonal sads combined with literal fear does to somebody who already deals with mental health issues. But I digress. We're in dark times. And this isn't fear mongering. This isn't, oh, Cal, you're just saying this because you don't like. No, I don't like the current administration or regime, as I like to call them. And while I try to have bright spots in things, and let me bop this down because I'll show this later to try to like pick things up. Let me get that clear. While I don't like to drive the hyperbolic unless I have to, even though I spent years calling this administration out after his first term, lost people close to me, after having a relative in the early days of the coronavirus put into a mass grave, losing two friends who were supposed to be hitting the big 50 with me next year because we were all the same age, one a nurse who died helping ingrates who didn't want to mask up, didn't want to social distance, another whose son graduated the same time as mine. She didn't get to see her baby walk across that stage like I did. So, needless to say, I don't have a lot of good to say about the current sit-in wannabe dictator. Never did, never will, never liked him. But to add to the incompetence, add in that drunken Signalgate idiot who already showed he can compromise classified documents on strikes. Put him in charge of the military after that disastrous meeting they had last year that could have been a Zoom call, where he summoned joint leaders of all of the branches of the military in one area and broadcasted it live to everybody, including our enemies, that this was going to happen. All to say, we don't want fatties and we want a sense of bro code back in the military. They changed our Department of Defense back into the Department of War. And this isn't shocking. A lot of this was in that manifesto that me and several others tried to read to you guys, but nobody wanted to listen. Some of you who are loyal to this nonsense, you just didn't care because you didn't think it's going to be your sons that they're going to make as pawns for this unnecessary, ongoing war. And what's even worse about this is that some of us whose kids are not mentally capable still had to sign up for the selective services, which, if you don't know, I'm old enough to know what this means. It's called the draft. So if they can't, because military recruitment numbers have been at an all-time low for the last 40 years because most people don't want to sign up for war. A lot of us are children of veterans, grandchildren of veterans. We also lived with partners, spouses, relatives who spent 20 years in Iraq fighting a pointless war. Kids that grew up without their mothers and fathers because they were overseas fighting allegedly Saddam Hussein's weapons of mass destruction. And come to find out, he didn't have those. But you know who do have those? Iran. You know who also has a very dedicated fundamentalist regime who just lost their supreme leader? Iran. And this news bite that I'm about to play is going to show you the lengths that these countries are going to go, because it's not just going to be Iran. Iran has allies, especially amongst Muslim countries. And this is only going to get bad before I don't even know if it can get better. So let me play this really quick. And I'm going to get on to my spiel because this is not going to be a long live. I'm honestly not feeling it. But if I don't get this poison out of me, I don't know what I'm going to do. I was already feeling drained today at the thought. Because my son's enlistment, not even enlistment, mandatory paperwork that you have to file when your kid turns 18. And they give you to 19 if they're still in high school. Which, because of his autism, he was. to file and make sure that their name is ready just in case they have to be drafted. Now, normally our country, because you can't get into the military with autism currently, that might all change under this awful administration, have rules against taking the only son and the only child of a family and putting them in the war, but we're all fodder to this administration. He's even gone on record saying, well, if Americans die, that's just going to happen. So I need you to understand what we're up against, because Trump and Netanyahu have kicked a hornet's nest, and they are thinking they're not going to be stung from this, but there are going to be a lot of us civilians stung by this nonsense. So let me get this fired up. We have live news now from Fox. I don't normally like Fox, but this is an affiliate. So let's just get this played.
Follow any and all new details and developments regarding the ongoing strikes in the Middle East. And also, U.S. Central Command just releasing new video of some of those strikes. Take a look at this.
It's ridiculous.
Courtesy of CENTCOM, saying, as the Secretary of War said, U.S. forces are putting Iran.
Not the Secretary of Defense. Not the Secretary of Keeping the Peace. Herge Gerf, as I like to call him, because I'm never going to say his name right. Fuck that guy. The drunk that literally released classified information on Signalgate, and I'm never going to let people forget about that, because this is who you got leading us into a war that shouldn't have happened. It's now, everything's for social media, everything's for virality, clicks, likes, views. People's lives are on the line so that Dubros can dunk on a country that they still have followers against authors. But y'all want to play around.
Surgically, overwhelmingly, and unapologetically, Operation Epic Fury is laser focused.
Epic Fury, my ass. Even these names are stupid. It just brings me right back to the early 90s, well, late 90s, early 2000s, where Operation Desert Storm, Operation Siege, and all these other stupid fucking names to get people jonesing. But the difference is, back then, because of 9/11, people were ready, people were willing, people were able to come out together and fight against what we thought was an open threat to our country. Iran and Israel's disputes came from the treatment of the Palestinian people, and I'm not going out of my way to fully defend Iran. Their human rights violations are abhorrent. The way they've killed over 500 people who have been protesting this regime, it is not okay. I am not on Iran's side, but I'm definitely not on the U.S.'s side right now, because we should have stayed out of this shit. Netanyahu talks a big game. He starts a lot of shit and then tries to hide his hands. We should not have been in the middle of this nonsense, and now we are targets along with Netanyahu. I am so fucking sick of people ignoring this fact.
Missiles. I want to bring to you now also that video that I just spoke about moments ago. This was released.
Oh my goodness.
That social media post. The latest regarding this entire situation does come as reports of the sounds of explosions rang out across Tehran through the night and into the early morning hours this Tuesday.
And need I remind you, the first series of strikes that happened killed 85 children, little girls. They are not the enemy. They were not the ones holding people hostage, initiating conflicts. These were little girls who didn't even have the potential to grow and be productive human beings. Their blood is on our country's hands. And for all of you who say, oh, I care about the children, I'm pro-life, I'm pro-this, when it comes to kids that don't look like you or that are culturally different, I see the double standard, and I fucking can't stand you for it. It shouldn't be a war.
Tehran and its allies have hit back against Israel, neighboring Gulf states, and targets critical to the world production of oil and natural gas.
And all you fuckers that are going to complain about gas pricing going up, and like I said, I live in cow country right now. So when I say that the cost of propane and stuff, we make it by with our tank, but we are bracing for higher prices and bracing for gas prices to go up because of this, this is what some of you signed up for. So you don't get to complain. Trump told you it's going to hurt you before it's better. The funny part about that is it's not going to get better.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu late on Monday defended the decision to go to war.
Of course he did. Because war keeps certain leaders in power. It's literally called wag the dog. They want conflict because it makes them seem stronger. They want conflict because it polarizes people and it normally keeps their focus off of what's important, taking the power from these wannabe dictators. This is coming on top of the shit that we have going on in America with the release of those Predator papers, on top of the fact that our midterms are coming up. Even right now, March 3rd in Texas, people should be getting out to vote for a Senate race that could put Jasmine Crockett, one of the leading representatives who takes no nonsense, into a Senate spot so that we can have actual grown-ups in our Congress holding this mad dog and his drunken lackey to task. But instead of that, we have people still trying to kowtow to their great white hope beliefs, going with that Tarico guy who's got busted in 4K being open-faced bigot. I'm tired. And I know I am not the only one tired. I know a lot of us 92%ers are fucking tired. If you don't know what that means, you probably don't vote. You're probably not voting, investing in your political awareness. And I'm not okay with you. If you don't understand what the 92% means for black women voters, that's on you. The rest of us tried to fight for this democracy and is watching it drown in incompetence and idiocy.
Contending in an interview on Fox News that Iran was rebuilding new sites in new places that would make their ballistic missile program and their atomic bomb program immune.
So, more weapons of mass destruction. And the bad part is Iran did not strike first this time. Whatever conflict they were having with Netanyahu, even if it was getting escalated, it had nothing to do with us. We have enough going on domestically, and every time we have fucked with Iran, we have found out. Now, I was a little girl when the hostage situation happened in Iran. And people wanted to ding then President Carter for compromising and seeking peace and getting our hostages back. In fact, that's why Reagan was elected, because they thought Jimmy was too weak. Because the path of peace to many conservatives is concession instead of bringing home people who shouldn't have been taken in the first place. And before I was born, just a little bit before I was born, these are the same people who orchestrated Black September, along with the PLO, where 9 athletes were murdered. These are not the kind of people that you piss off willy-nilly. Including the fact that, yes, they do, and they have shown they had nuclear capabilities, but we don't have the intelligence to say what they're saying in this news brief is true. This is all the stuff that people are trying to drum up to make this a justifiable conflict. And once again, these are not the kind of people you... When I say they put fatwas on people simply because of what they wrote. Salman Rushdie wrote, what is the name of that book? I had it right in my head. I don't own a copy because I ain't trying to fuck around with that kind of karma. I think it was the Satanic Verses, yeah. To expose what it was like under a heavy religious regime in Iran. That man has been on the run and looking over his shoulders for years because of it. They put that fatwa back on him over 40 years ago. And they are still trying to kill that man. These are not the kind of people you get in the conflict willy-nilly with. And while Trump and the rest of them are patting their backs and giving each other high fives, thinking that they got a big win, they are literally putting lives on the line unnecessarily with a conflict that with people who don't care. Once they swear that they will use their lives to take lives, that's it. What happened on 9/11 was exactly that. In my hometown, those people that crashed in the Shanksville, Pennsylvania, portions of the Pentagon And need I remind you that the crash that happened in Shanksville, they were aiming for the White House. Trump seems to think all of us are collateral damage, that our military are just toy soldiers that they can play around with. And all these people, well, it's different now, Tim. They've got drones to help do most of their strike. You're still going to need ground troops. You're still going to need naval deployment. You're still going to need Air Force stuff. Because not everything can be handled by remote AI yet. Even though Herjgerf, the drunken idiot, is trying to push for that too. The point is, we should not be in this conflict. We should not be going to war, but here we are.
Within months, without providing that evidence. Also, going back to the social media post from.
And remember, she said that without providing that evidence. Let me tap it back because, once again, you don't have to hear it from me. This is a little Fox affiliate saying that they claimed that there were going to be newer, unpenetrable nuclear and weapons testing things in Iran, but there's no conclusive proof for that. It's funny how some of you don't even want to hear the truth when it's in black and white.
That evidence. Also, going back to the social media post from CENTCOM alongside this video, they also released a social media post from CENTCOM alongside. Also,
let me tap this back proper.
Within months, without providing that evidence. Also, going back to the social media post from CENTCOM alongside this video, they also released some more pictures regarding all of these operations of the U.S.'s involvement. So you can see them here on the screen as our producer circulates through them. Also coming in, the U.S. Embassy in Saudi Arabia was hit by Iranian drones as well. That attack from 2 drones on the U.S. Embassy early Tuesday caused a limited fire and minor damage, according to Saudi Arabia's defense ministry, which did not release further details. It follows an attack the day before on the U.S. Embassy in Kuwait. State Department in the U.S. says that evacuations of non-emergency personnel and family reached 6 nations on Tuesday, with the inclusion of the UAE. The UAE, which has long been considered a safe corner of the Middle East, has been dragged into the Iran war with interceptions and attacks.
There will.
Iraq, Jordan, Kuwait.
Not to interrupt again, but there are no safe places in the Middle East anymore because of this conflict. There were countries that just wanted to live, thrive, prosper, who are now going to be dragged into this. There are places that are already dealing with the aftermath of their own civil wars, like Syria and parts of Pakistan and just all over the Middle East and Southeast Asia that may be deep in the middle of an unnecessary conflict because Netanyahu wants to cover the fact that he has been a fucking disgustingly genocidal maniac when it comes to how he's treated the Palestinians. And you can say, well, Hamas kidnapped Israeli citizens, which they did. There is, like I said, no right in all of these wrongs except the fact that leadership should be trying to de-escalate conflict, and all Netanyahu has done is add fuel to this ongoing almost 300 fucking year fire. And instead of agreeing to a 2-state solution, respecting the Palestinian people, and trying to coexist, he has done everything in his power to try to eliminate and eradicate people. And now we are legitimately giving him props and propping him up and involving ourselves in a conflict. America does not have a history of starting wars directly. I'm going to add that caveat because with our intelligence agencies, sometimes things happen. We have had our hands in many coups and regimes and all that other bullshit. So I'm not acting like what's going on isn't karmic for us. But historically speaking, we have always been dragged into international conflicts. We have tried our damnedest not to be directly involved until we had to get directly involved. Now, we are literally the instigators and aggressors, and it is not going to work out well. Reminder, every country that does stuff like this has to end up ceding stuff when we come up on war crimes, which is going to happen. 85 children just died. And when we eventually lose this conflict, because we are up against very devoted religious fundamentalists who just lost their Ayatollah Khomeini.
Yeah, Qatar. I do also want to bring you this. It's a Truth Social post from President
Oh,
Trump.
for
This is the
fuck's
latest one he
sake.
posted.
The United States munitions stockpiles have at medium and upper medium grade never been higher or better, which is, he's like a fucking 2 year old. No, 2 years can't, well, 2 years probably could come up with something better. He is like an elementary school student with his praise of himself. As was stated to me today, we have a virtual unlimited supply of these weapons, which is not true. There's no such thing as an unlimited supply, but he's an idiot. Wars can be fought forever. We used to be about defense, not about war. But he wants them to be fought forever using our sons, potentially our daughters, until Hedgegrove decides women need to be out in the military and stay home and just have babies so that they can go to war in 17, 18 years. This is fucked up. At the highest end, we have good supply. Oh my god, I feel like I'm losing IQ points, but I'm going to try to power through this. But we are not where we want to be. Much additional high-grade weaponry is stored for outlying countries. Why would you give that information? I'm not going to read the insult to President Biden because he is so jealous that we actually have peace and stability. He is also going over Zelensky of the Ukraine, calling him a carnival barker when, sir, you are a whole clown and the entire circus. Hundreds of billions of dollars worth of what? Weapons? We have not given hundreds of billions of dollars worth of weapons to Ukraine. We negotiated weaponry to help them, but NATO has funded most of their defense against Putin. Because need I remind you, Ukraine was minding their own business when Vladimir decided, I want to take this country, and invaded them unjustly. And as normally peacekeeping, try to de-escalate the situation nation in the United States used to be, we ended up allying with the people who were unjustly invaded. And now we have the orange flip-flopper who loves war, likes war, turned our Department of fucking Defense back into the Department of War. And this ugly ass picture of him with the American flag over his face is just maddening because he's a draft dodger. I need to remind people of that as a child of the military, that this man draft dodged the same war that my dad had to fight in. His father did not fight in the war that my grandfathers had to fight in, both WW2, the Korean War, and Vietnam, which my dad fought in while Trump had bone spurs. Now, if you want to send our kids, which that's the latest news story that spurred me on to even talk about this, they are making sure that you sign your 18-year-olds up immediately after turning 18 because they know how messy this shit's gonna get. Barron motherfucking Trump better be drafted, and I want his ass on the front lines. Not sitting back in some cushy job behind a computer screen as an officer. His ass needs to be infantry, motherfucker. You're gonna risk our sons and daughters for this useless war? Your kid needs to break past the shadow of a bunch of draft dodging cowards that is normally known as the Trump family. I'm saying what I'm saying with my whole chest.
Overnight, and it says this quote: the United States munition stockpiles have, at the medium and upper medium grade, never been higher or better.
I can't listen to this.
Biden gave so much of the super high end away free. He didn't bother to replace it. Fortunately, I rebuilt the military in my first term and continue to do.
He did not rebuild anything. Oh my god, this is so enraging. It's enraging, it's infuriating, but it's not surprising. This man will take anything and try to praise himself for it. Oh, currently there is oh god, why is it showing foodie as shit right now? Yuck. There is a eruption going on in the Philippines. This has just been crazy times. Bruce Campbell from Evil Dead fame, Spider-Man, his work with Sam Raimi on his life, got diagnosed with cancer that's not treatable. I mean, it's treatable, but not curable. We lost Dawson from Dawson's Creek to colon cancer, alongside a lot of fucking celebrities that a lot of us Gen Xers and millennials grew up. And I see people taking sides, talking about which generation caused what. I think we could all, as the invisible generation, say the Gen X had fuck all to do with this. And I know we're not all perfect. Some of us branched off to try to be like Alex P. Keaton, but the majority of us grew up with voter and civic duties because we had to rock the vote. We had Schoolhouse Rocks. We understood the assignment when it said what a bill was in legislation. We are not a perfect generation, but we did not sell this country out like the boomers. We're not sitting at home protesting about Palestine, now watching Palestinians still get slaughtered and having World War III come on us like the more entitled younger generation, whether you like to hear that or not. And welcome to the chat, Red Baron. I am just so pissed off and fired up about the fact that we are in unnecessary conflicts due to this doofus administration and his drunk. Now, Tel Aviv is under attack. It's crazy to me how we got here, how this shit keeps happening. And I'm going to play this really quick because it's 2 minutes.
Oh my God. The powerful Iranian strikes have shattered Dubai's image as a luxurious safe haven of glittering hotels and high-end resorts.
Now, I'm not a fan of Dubai. I think a lot of really superficial people go there to flaunt wealth. It is just a place to go if you have too much money to burn normally. But they're normally a peaceful nation. They are literally like Bali, basically, where people pay to say, I got to go to Bali. It is a luxury resort country, basically. And now they're dealing with the fallout of this nonsense. And it's insane to me.
So too have the thick plumes of smoke that choke the skies above the Qatari capital Doha, known for its opulence and calm. The Kingdom of Bahrain also wasn't spared. Neither was Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, or Oman. Their tankers were struck just off its shores in the Strait of Hormuz, a vital global shipping route where 1/5 of the world's oil passes through.
And need I remind you that this was supposed to be against Iran. But because of these unnecessary targets being hit, it is going to drag other countries who are not only in control of our oil reserves and supplies, but also have more money to throw in attacking these aggressors who not only kill the Ayatollah, but are now causing unnecessary conflicts in civilian areas. We are cooked. Whether you want to hear that or not, I know some people want to play, we have the strongest military in the world. Normally, I agree. And under competent leadership, yes, we can have strong military. But under the frat boy drunk and the dumb dictator, we are literally cooked during this, whether you want to accept that or not.
In all, dozens of people have been injured and at least 4 killed in the Iranian attacks on the Gulf that have largely grounded flights and shut down commerce in the region. Tehran's decision to fire volleys of missiles and drones at the group of countries that make up the Gulf has only upped the ante.
And this is who we're up against. They will burn everything now in the name of Khomeini and his death. We're cooked.
These here host large U.S. military bases, housing tens of thousands of American service members, including the headquarters of the Navy's 5th Fleet in Bahrain, which was struck on Saturday.
Which I had a dear friend tell me after I posted a thread on Blue Sky about my fears now that my kid is signed up for selective services whether we want him to be selected or not, because that's how the drafts work. And don't think that these motherfuckers won't target families who vote Democrat, won't target families who are vulnerable to send our kids to this unnecessary war. She said that her family, her sister's only kid, is on a boat right now in the Navy getting sent out there. He is the only nephew, and they are scared. And this is what we, as parents who did not sign up for this, and I, as a child of literal veterans, say with my whole chest, I did not want my son to have to go to war. Even as years ago I looked up what the Navy's policies were on recruiting, especially legacy members, and they said in big bold letters, people diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder cannot be recruited because of the health issues and the potential for conflicts. So I accepted that. I accepted that the legacy of military service stopped for my direct family with us. Because so far, I'm the only one that had a son. And I was okay with that because constant threats of conflict, I don't want my only child to die in an unjust war or even a so-called just war. And I'm just 100% honest with that. But if it had been under actual leadership and we had been struck like Pearl Harbor, maybe I would have had more leans to going, it's the patriotic duty. Because I have generations of naval men, soldiers, Marines, and even Air Force, even though my family liked to clown on the few Air Force we had. Coming from somebody with that kind of background, who understands what the sacrifice normally means, for me to say that I don't want my son to do this. It wasn't easy at first, but considering who is leading right now, it is the easiest thing for me to say, I don't want my son to die for this country right now. This is not the country he should shed blood for, where citizens are being gunned down, where they're pepper spraying and detaining babies that just happen to look like they're not American enough, where people in 4K, thanks to citizens, are being shown to be shot. Like that one lady who got shot 5 times that luckily lived, unlike Renee Good and Alex Preddy. And you can just add those names to several hundreds recently of African American citizens who have been gunned down unjustly thanks to legalized lynching. This is not the country I want my only child shedding blood or perhaps even giving his life for, and I don't give a fuck how that makes me sound right now. I am scared because selective service is mandatory. And because it's selective service, if they have to hold a draft, because we don't want our kids just willy-nilly enlisted for this shit, they can still take our babies like they did in Vietnam to mothers and send them to an unwinnable war with an enemy that is not going to play fair and is willing to strike any place that harbors American military bases now. We didn't have to have World War III. But here the fuck we are.
Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian has threatened his country's armed forces will, quote, crush the U.S. bases with force. And while most Iranian drones and missiles have been intercepted and no Gulf nation has fired back, the question now is, for how long? Fears of a sustained conflict expanding beyond Iran's borders have only grown following the killing of the supreme leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei.
In Pakistan, pro-regime demonstrators attempted to storm the U.S. consulate in Karachi. At least 20 people were killed.
Protests have also erupted in Iraq, where hundreds were pushed away from the green zone in Baghdad with water cannons just a short distance from the American embassy.
Oh, Lord. We are so fucking screwed. And the sad part is there are still people who will sit here thinking we need a pat on the back for this. High fives all around. All this false patriotic bullshit. You think peace is for the weak? You think strength is only in bullying? And you think that just because another country has instability, it's all of a sudden our job when you feel like us getting involved to insert ourselves. And once again, I am not defending Iraq on any of its humanitarian attitudes. The way they treat women, especially girls, and anybody who identifies as a woman. The complete destruction of anybody who is LGBTQ. The fact that they need a fundamentalist regime, which you know me, I'm anti-fundamentalist no matter what the religion is, because you're all a bunch of wackadoos as far as I'm concerned. But when I say that this strike should not have happened, we have picked the fucking craziest opponent to start a war with, whose capabilities to destabilize oil and different trade routes globally. All because Trump needs a war to distract from the Predator Papers and from the fact that the midterms are coming up and we need to vote to get a Congress that may not be able to impeach him. Because I hear that all the time. Well, if we get control of the House and Senate, we should be able to impeach him, right? Forgetting that he has a Supreme Court that could slap that down. Because we warned you back in 2015 that he will stack the Supreme Courts, which he did. And even though people are feeling the pinch money-wise under this regime, they still do not get that just impeaching the president has not officially been successful in U.S. history. The only thing that came close was Nixon, who resigned before he could be officially impeached. And this shit right now makes Watergate look like romper room. Yes, Nixon spied on people. Nixon ordered some ridiculous things. They even sent a poor woman who knew what was going on to a mental hospital and ruined her life, but she took that bitch down with him. He is the only U.S. president in history to resign, and we already know El Dumbass is too narcissistic and stubborn to ever resign. So what do we do? Right now, for me, it is hard not to feel helpless, and I have gone into both garden therapy, I have thrown myself into 3D printing, because I need distractions right now. In a world where people I grew up watching are dying by the handful, in a world where my son's name could come up in the fucking draft list, even though he just turned 21, just not even 3 weeks ago, in a world where every day I feel like I'm waking up to instability and there's never a break. There's literally never a pause with the chaos, confusion, and fuckery. It's exhausting. So many of us did not sign up for this. We fought hard to keep the stability, keep just grown-ups at the table. But because one of the people that ran was allegedly too old, even though Uncle Grandpa currently falls asleep during fucking State of the Union addresses and just in general, because she had a vagina and happened to have brown skin and came from a mixed background, people found all sorts of ways. Oh, for freak's sake, bots. Not today. Not today. I'm not in the mood for you guys. You're gone. I am just so over a lot of things, and one thing we are not going to do is entertain bots. So give me just a moment here. Why did it sign me out? Are you serious right now, Twitch? I have an account, duh. And it's going to hit up my phone because we need codes to sign into everything now. Oh, we're afraid somebody's going to steal your account, even though you're doing it from the same devices you've been doing for years. And I know I sound like an old lady ranting right now, but I don't care. I am so over people not taking this as seriously as they should be taking it. So let me deal with this bot really quick. Because I'm over them. I don't need high views or streaming help from people like you. And you're reported. You're a bot and you waste my time. Yeah. I don't have anything else. The bots. View bots. It's a damn view bot. There's your report. Now, getting back to what I was saying about not getting a break from this fuckery, is it just feels ongoing. It feels like there is no end to not only the bad news, but the conflicts, the open faced hatred, the fact that we have federalized, deputized people willing to threaten the lives of American citizens, on top of the fact that we already have state paid people that do that, depending on your skin color and background. It's seriously scary, Red Baron. I just don't understand why people don't get it. And it's always the people who don't have the military backgrounds that fail to understand what the draft can mean to them. Just because you might not have served, if you got an 18-year-old right now, especially a son, you best believe that their name could come up in this. Because, like I said, the military's recruitment in all four branches have been at an all-time low. And this is not me normally knocking the military. They still have programs that pass for people who might not have had those openings. But after, especially the Gulf War, a lot of people are a lot more leery to sign up to something that could take 20 years of their lives with no return. To leave their families in the lurch, to come back to full-grown kids because they were away for that long. And then have Trump fuck up their pullout, which people still mind-numbingly blame Joe Biden for having to handle that mess when he first came in, on top of the lack of COVID response from Trump's first term. Joe Biden cleaned up so much mess, and he got kicked in the ass from every fucking side that could. Comedians like to joke about, oh, Joe's sleepy. Other people, is he doing enough in regards to Palestine? All of that, when we had ceasefire on the table, where we were putting it Netanyahu to task, where we said we will embargo and sanction your ass if you don't calm the fuck down. We want to help you get the Israeli hostages back, but we are not going to let you bomb and starve Palestinian people to death. But people didn't want to see that. And then it became even worse with Kamala and her run. Oh, what's her stance on it? She told you her stance. She said from day one she would be in Netanyahu's face. Some of you didn't want to believe that. You wanted to believe the clown that literally said, we are going to turn Palestine into a resort, and maybe we'll let some of the people back as workers. So not only are you okay with him genociding Palestinian people, taking their homeland, and then maybe letting them back to be forced labor, but you thought he was the better choice for the conflict in the Middle East when his first term fucked up the two-state accord? It's like people tune out geopolitics because you don't want to look behind your front door or even your back door. You just want that simplistic mindset of, well, I don't support all of this, but it's not going to directly impact me. And I'm telling you right now, this shit is going to directly impact you. This shit is already directly impacting a lot of us. Even places in the Middle East that had no dime in this fucking quarter are now going to be dragged into this fight because some of yous just did not give a fuck enough. November 2024 to vote with a conscience, to vote beyond yourself, to stop seeing this like a football game, my side versus your side, because their side openly said what they were going to do domestically and geopolitically, and some of you chose to think that you would still be safe in this. And like I said, as somebody from New York City who watched my city burn once, who knows that if the conflicts keep escalating, that my hometown once again will be put as a potential target, I don't want to see this happen again. I was already early 20s in the workforce when 9/11 happened. My son had not been born yet. He came a few years after that. But there are a lot of us who grew up during several conflicts with Iran. Like I mentioned before, hostage conflict. Then the whole Contra, which my brain was trying to mesh the two, where Oliver North and several other U.S. agents trying to play around, pit people versus each other. That Contra issue led to the rise of Saddam Hussein, of, oh my God, what is his name? The guy that President Obama helped kill, that initiated 9/11. Whenever we do these sneaky tactics, and right now I know a lot of people, Iran's going to get regime change. There's no guarantee that regime is going to be any better. You may have just traded fundamentalists for even worse. I just wish that anybody who didn't vote for this, who did our damnedest to vote against this, had a respite, had a place of peace, had a place where we do not have to be in the middle of this fuckery, because we did not sign up for this fuckery. But unfortunately, our families are going to be impacted by this. Our finances are already impacted by this. The prices of oil are going to go up. Our stock market is more than likely going to fluctuate. And we are all just sitting ducks waiting to see when and where they're going to strike, when they finally bring it from the Middle East over to here again. If you don't think that they didn't learn their lesson from the first and second attacks on New York, the Pentagon, and what could have been the White House if those heroes on that flight that crashed in Shanksville stopped, you got another thing coming. These are deeply fundamentalist ideologists who will stop at nothing now to avenge the Ayatollah. Now, I don't want to end this on such a deep note, and it is hard for me to perk up after this because the last few days my mind has been just racing with the potential that I could lose my only child to war because of selective service. But I've been throwing myself into my printing, 3D printing. I will be painting again soon. I just did not feel unshaky today, and I don't want to hold the paintbrush when I'm this upset. We're also working on the second Elegoo, which I'm waiting for Elegoo to come back with a diagnostic for the second printer, because I really want to start printing in multicolors, Elegoo. The ball's in your court. I've sent you all the logs. I've sent you all the pictures. I'm just waiting. Haven't even had this printer 2 months. I'm not able to print on it. I'm not happy about that. But I will show this for all the people who watch me play DDO on Sunday, and I'm going to be bringing that back next Sunday. We have our 20-year anniversary event. I have been playing D&D for almost 32 years now, but I found DDO back in 2007, 2 years after my son was born. I bought the game back in the tail end of 2006, and when I found out it was an MMO, because I had such a bad experience with WoW, I put it in a closet. I didn't want nothing to deal with it. About a year and a half after that, right around the Christmas holidays, I'm getting some stuff out for my kid. The game bonked me on my head. I loaded it, added my credit card, because it was a paid MMO back then, and I fell in love. We have had several game updates since then. The game is 20 years old now. We have had expansions and graphical updates. Areas that used to be one way that got completely redone, made over. It is a beautiful game. We play with my static group every Sunday. I'm going to play a little bit more tonight because we want to do the anniversary events. Because every year for the anniversary, we get specialized events. We get a lot of cool items. I have 20 years, almost 20 years versus full of items from different events. But one of the most popular characters is a villain in the Maleficent Cabal. Her name is Malicia. She's a succubus, and her hands is just so much. She's even in the anniversary event. So I, taking different pictures and stills that I could, went and made a model of her. And let me get this reference picture up if I can. Give me just a moment. We're going to get the image up. to show how I ended up creating this character from DDO as a 3D model. Let's get Militia up here. First, we'll have this edited thing that I did of her. And as you can see, I worked very hard. I had to change some things. Like the wings that I originally created were not sustainable, so I ended up working on that. And I'll show you the finished already printed product. Militia, as I said, is a very popular Dungeons and Dragons character. And there she is from the actual game. So when I say that this was a labor of love, but it was worth it to design and get this print finished, I am not just blowing smoke up your behind. This really was a labor of love for me because I love DDO. I've been playing it for a long time. And I just want to show you, because I made 3 different models of her. One with a different tail than the others, all of them with a similar wingspan after I realized that the wings I originally designed to look more like the closed folded down ones of hers would not work in my printer. So without further ado, let me play this. And now you gotta clean up some of the facial stuff on the smaller ones, but it's fine. And sorry for all that noise. It is my workshop, so not only did I have the printer going, stuff was falling. I almost dropped the camera because it fucking scared me. One of the things with my paintbrushes fell over. But even with all of that, I still try to throw myself into fun crafts because it literally keeps me sane. When I am not working on stuff, when I'm not taking time to write or work on Olaroon, which I took 2 days off. I'm getting back into it because it's like I said, we're doing this frame by frame, cell by cell. I want a full coherent episode that flows into each other. I've got an amazing editor program that I've been working with. I've got music. Gemini has provided amazing vocals. So I am really excited about Olaroon's launch. But even with those distractions, this latest bit of nonsense has me scared and just mentally, physically, and emotionally tired. And if you are with me, if you feel the same way, if you are worried for the future of your now 18-year-old being sent off to yet another unjustifiable war, you need to vote like your lives depend on it. And remember, Texas, you have your time to shine today and vote in Jasmine Crockett so that we can have a stable member of the Senate to go up against these people who want to pat this man and his drunken lackey on the back for causing us unnecessary conflict. I will say this before I wrap up. I know there are a lot of people who are polarized by politics and what side they're on. But if you, whether you are a conservative, a liberal, a progressive, or whatever you want to call yourself, can't understand the deep ramifications of going to war with Iran, of the potential losses and casualties of even people who had no business or want to be involved in this conflict, you are part of the problem. You cannot keep sticking your head into the ground and hoping that you'll be fine because of your entitlement and privilege. All of this was preventable, and all of this is putting us in unnecessary harm's way. But I'm going to wrap this up. I am not sure when Friday nights are going to start up. Every time I get it planned out, stuff happens where it's just not feasible. I know that Greg's working a little bit later on Friday, and my current schedule left me where I could do 6 to 7, but I'm still working on what the format's going to be because I think I like Tuesdays for news, politics, and social issues, but I definitely want to do something more lighthearted and fun on Fridays to detox from all of this bad. So it's up in the air right now. I am still going to leave it on the schedule because I do want to get back to that. And I will be back on Sundays to showcase DDO's amazing 20th anniversary events and specials. I might even show some more during the week if I get time. We're not going to be able to meet up till later on tonight after dinner for those of us who are going to try to get more event stuff done. But I am rambling, so I will definitely see y'all soon. Red Baron, thank you so much for sitting in. You are always a welcome guest here. I'm going to wrap this up, go calm down, drink my water, and hug my son because just a reminder that any child between the ages of 18 to 25 are now basically going to be up for that draft. Should be a splash of cold water to those of you who thought you were going to be safe from this. But I'm going to wrap this up. I will see you all again soon. Have a good rest of your day.